The sound of a whip cracked through the dry air. Sanaa fell to her knees, wrists bound tight with coarse rope, blood seeping down her arms. Her back was a canvas of bruises, her torn dress heavy with dust and pain. Sunlight burned into her eyes as she lifted her head. In front of her stood Harlan Briggs, the man who once promised her mother safety and partnership, now holding the whip that tore her flesh. "That land belongs to me," he growled. "Sign it, Sanaa. Sign it and I'll let you go." She gasped, voice hoarse. "That land belongs to my mother." The next lash struck with a sound like thunder. Sanaa screamed, her body crumpling, but her eyes, dark and unbroken, stayed defiant. Harlan tossed the papers into the sand. "Not signing? Fine. Let the sun finish you." He laughed dryly, mounted his horse, and rode off, leaving her tied to the fence beneath the merciless sun. Hours passed. Her lips cracked, her breath came ragged. "Mother," she whispered to the empty sky. "I know you would never forgive him." Hoofbeats echoed in the distance. Elias Holt, a lone rancher with gray eyes and a face carved by years of sun, pulled his horse to a halt. He saw her, a girl bound and bleeding, and something deep within him stirred. He cut her free and lifted her gently onto his horse. As he rode toward his cabin, the wind carried the scent of burning sage and dust. Inside, Elias washed her wounds, each touch careful and steady. When the wet cloth touched her scorched skin, she moaned faintly but did not wake. The lamplight flickered across Elias's worn face, his jaw tight as he stared at the rope marks digging into her wrists. He'd seen it before: blood, fire, helplessness. His wife had died in a raid years ago, and since then, he'd lived alone among ghosts and dust. That night, he sat on the porch listening to the wind howl. Inside, Sanaa's breathing was weak but steady, the only sound that seemed alive in this dead land. By morning, she woke with a start, eyes sharp as a cornered animal. Elias stood by the door, voice low. "Don't be afraid. You're safe now." "Who are you?" she whispered. "Just someone who couldn't ride past." "Will you turn me over to him?" "If that was my plan," he said quietly, "you wouldn't be here." Light fell across her face, streaked with dust and dried blood, but strong. "Rest," he said softly. "No one's going to touch you again." Days passed. Elias spoke little, but left food and water by her bed. When she was strong enough to walk, she explored the cabin, found an old rifle, a dusty guitar, and a faded photo of a woman with a child. "Your wife?" she asked. "Yes," Elias said, voice low. "They're at peace now." That night, she made soup with the last of the vegetables. He said nothing, only watched the firelight dance in her eyes. Later, as he carried his blanket to the porch, she asked, "Why did you save me?" "Because I couldn't watch another soul be broken," he answered. She stared at the flames. "Men like you are rare." He didn't reply. But something quiet shifted in the air between them, the start of trust. By midday, the wind rose. Dust swirled across the prairie. Elias stopped his work as hoofbeats thundered in the distance, 3 riders cutting through the haze. Harlan rode in front, 2 armed men at his back. Inside, Sanaa froze, fear clawing at her chest. Elias stepped onto the porch, rifle in hand. "I heard you're keeping something of mine," Harlan sneered. "She's not a thing," Elias replied. "She's Helen's girl. Her mother promised me that land." "She never promised you a damn thing," Sanaa shouted from the doorway, voice shaking but fierce. Harlan's eyes turned to her, cold and cruel. "If she won't sign, I'll burn this house like I burned hers." Elias raised the rifle. "Try it." Wind roared between them. Then Harlan laughed and pulled his reins. "Let's see how long you can keep her." When the dust settled, Sanaa whispered, "He'll come back." "I know," Elias said. "Next time, I'll be waiting." That night, under the flickering lamp, Sanaa told her story. Her mother's land, the well that gave life in drought, the man who came pretending to help, then betrayed them. I saw the hoofprints outside, she said softly. He burned her alive. Tears streaked her face. When I refused to sign, he tied me to that fence and left me for the sun. Elias's voice was steady, but his eyes burned. Then he'll never take another thing from you. Not while I'm breathing. The next day, the storm came. Dust rolled like smoke. 3 riders again, Harlan and his men. Elias stepped out, rifle ready. Harlan smirked. You really think you can save her from me? Elias's reply was quiet. You here to talk, or to die? Gunfire erupted. The air exploded with dust and thunder. Elias fired, dropping 1 man. A bullet tore through his shoulder, but he kept shooting. Sanaa grabbed the Colt from the table, stepped into the doorway, and fired twice. The last gunman fell. Harlan raised his revolver, but Elias was faster. He swung the rifle, slamming the stock into Harlan's jaw. The man hit the ground hard. Elias bound him with the same rope that had scarred Sanaa's wrists. Sanaa stood over him, voice trembling but clear. This land will never belong to you. When the sheriff arrived with 2 ranchers, he saw the scene, Harlan bloodied, Elias wounded, Sanaa standing tall. What happened here, Holt? The sheriff asked. Elias's words were calm. Justice, sheriff. That's all. Harlan rasped, they ambushed me. Tried to steal my land. Sanaa stepped forward, holding a charred deed. This was my mother's. It's signed in her name, and mine. The sheriff unfolded it, read in silence, then looked up. That's enough, Briggs. You're under arrest. The ranchers hauled Harlan to his feet. He spat, shouting, You'll regret this, Holt. You're nothing but a washed-up fool defending a savage. Elias said quietly, No, just a man keeping his word. As they rode off, the prairie fell silent again. Sanaa looked at Elias, eyes glistening. You saved me. But more than that, you gave me back my will to live. Elias laid a hand on her shoulder. You and this land both deserve to live. The rain came the next afternoon, soft at first, then heavy, washing away the dust and the blood. Elias stood on the porch watching it fall across the open fields. Inside, Sanaa lit a fire. The flicker revealed faint scars across her shoulders, no longer marks of pain, but proof of survival. She brought him a cup of hot coffee. The rain is back, she said, smiling for the first time. Yes, Elias said quietly. And this land is grateful for you. They sat together, rain soaking through their sleeves, the sound gentle and endless. Do you think they'll ever accept me? She asked. One day, he said. They'll see you as part of this land. The storm began to fade. Sunlight broke through the clouds, casting gold across the wet prairie. Sanaa looked toward the horizon. I'm still afraid, she whispered. Elias smiled faintly. No one should live alone forever, Sanaa. 2 silhouettes sat side by side beneath the glowing sky, the weary rancher and the Apache girl who had survived. This land once took everything from me, Elias murmured. But in the end, it gave me back the one thing I'd lost, a reason to stay. And like the first rain after drought, the West breathed again, washing away sorrow, leaving only the quiet promise of new life.